Sylvester Stallone walks into a Beverly Hills party when Arnold Schwarzenegger raises his glass and says loud enough for everyone to hear, "Nice movie, Sly. Too bad nobody remembers who comes in second place." What happens in the next 3 minutes doesn't just silence the room, it ends a 20-year rivalry that defined an entire era of action cinema. Los Angeles, December 1997. The annual Hollywood Foreign Press holiday party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. Not a casual gathering. This is where deals get made, where careers get elevated, where the most powerful people in entertainment come to see and be seen. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, waiters in white gloves carrying trays of caviar and imported cheeses. Everyone who matters is here. Directors, producers, studio heads, and the biggest stars on the planet. Sylvester Stallone arrives at 8:30 p.m., wearing a black suit, simple and understated. He's 51 years old, coming off a difficult year. His last 3 films underperformed. Critics are saying he's past his prime. Magazines are running articles with headlines like, "Is the Stallone era over?" The pressure is immense. The doubt is everywhere. Even he's starting to wonder if they're right. He walks through the crowd, shaking hands, making small talk, trying to project confidence he doesn't entirely feel. Then, he sees him across the room. Arnold Schwarzenegger, 50 years old, standing in a circle of admirers, laughing, commanding attention like he always does. Arnold is having the opposite year. Terminator 2 still generating revenue. True Lies was a massive success. Eraser just came out. He's on top, undisputed. The biggest action star in the world. Their relationship is complicated. They've known each other for 20 years. Started as gym acquaintances in the early days when both were nobodies trying to break into Hollywood. But once they made it, once they both became stars, everything changed. A rivalry developed, not friendly competition. Real animosity, genuine dislike masked behind public smiles and diplomatic comments. It started small. Magazine covers. Who got the better billing? Who made more money? Who had bigger muscles? Who did better stunts? Then, it escalated. They started making competing movies. When Stallone did Rambo, Arnold did Commando. When Arnold did Predator, Stallone did Cobra. Studios loved it, fed into it, pitted them against each other deliberately. More competition meant more box office, more headlines, more money for everyone. But it became personal. Arnold would make subtle comments in interviews about Stallone's acting ability. Stallone would respond with digs about Arnold's accent. Arnold would show up to premieres of Stallone's movies and make a scene, drawing attention away. Stallone would do the same. They attended the same parties but never spoke. Would stand on opposite sides of the room. Their friends became enemies of each other. Their agents negotiated against each other viciously. The tabloids called it the Action Star Wars. Every week, some new story, some new slight, some new competition. Who could bench press more? Who had the lower body fat percentage? Who earned more per film? Who had a bigger house? It was exhausting. Childish, but neither would back down. Neither would be seen as weaker. Pride wouldn't allow it. Tonight, Stallone hoped to avoid Arnold entirely. Large enough party, easy to stay separated. But as he walks toward the bar, he hears Arnold's voice, loud, projecting, meant to be heard. Arnold is talking to a group of producers, but he's looking at Stallone, says, "You know what the problem with some action stars is? They peak early, one good franchise, and they think they're immortal, but the audience moves on, always moves on." The group laughs. Uncomfortable laughs. Everyone knows who Arnold means. Stallone stops walking, considers leaving, walking away, being the bigger person. But something stops him. 20 years of this. 20 years of competition. 20 years of never addressing it directly. Through press. Through subtle jabs. Never face to face. Never honest. Stallone changes direction. Walks toward Arnold's circle. The room notices. Conversations stop. People sense something happening. Arnold sees him coming. Smiles. That confident smile. That I'm untouchable. Smile. Stallone stops at the edge of the group, says calmly, "You talking about me, Arnold?" Arnold's smile doesn't falter. Says, "If the shoe fits." Sly. The group goes silent. Nobody moves. This is it. The confrontation everyone expected but never thought would actually happen. Not here. Not publicly. Stallone says, "You think I peaked? Think Rocky is all I have?" Arnold shrugs. Says, "Numbers don't lie. My movies gross bigger. My brand is stronger. That's not opinion. That's fact." Stallone nods slowly. Says, "You're right. Your movies make more money. Your brand is massive. You're the biggest action star in the world right now." Arnold looks surprised. Didn't expect agreement. Expected argument. Expected Stallone to defend himself. Stallone continues, "But you know what I realized? We've spent 20 years competing. 20 years trying to prove who's better, who's bigger, who's more successful. And you know what that's gotten us?" Arnold doesn't answer. Just watches. Stallone says, "It's made us enemies. Made us bitter. Made us miss the point entirely." He pauses. Looks around at the crowd that's formed. At least 40 people now watching. Listening. Waiting. Stallone says, "We're not enemies. We're not competition. We're two guys who came from nothing. Who built something against impossible odds. Who changed action cinema. Who gave audiences heroes they could root for." Stallone says, "You came from Austria with nothing. Couldn't speak English. Had a name nobody could pronounce. Every expert said you'd never make it, but you did. Through discipline, through work ethic, through refusing to accept no." Arnold's expression softens slightly, still guarded, but listening now. Really listening. Stallone continues, "I came from Hell's Kitchen. Partially paralyzed face. Speech impediment. Told I'd never be a leading man. Told I should give up. But I wrote Rocky, fought for it, made it happen." He says, "We both did the impossible. We both proved everyone wrong. We both inspired millions of people. And instead of celebrating that, instead of respecting what we each accomplished, we spent 20 years tearing each other down." The room is dead silent. Nobody expected this, expected conflict, expected argument, not honesty, not vulnerability. Stallone says, "I'm tired, Arnold. Tired of the competition. Tired of the games. Tired of pretending we hate each other for publicity. Because that's what this is, right? We don't actually hate each other. We hate that the studios pit us against each other. We hate that every success one of us has is positioned as a failure for the other." Arnold doesn't respond immediately. His face is unreadable. Years of poker face. Years of never showing weakness. But something shifts in his eyes. Recognition maybe. Understanding. Stallone extends his hand. Says, "So I'm done. Done competing. Done fighting. You're a legend. I respect everything you've built. Everything you've accomplished. And I hope you can respect what I've done too. Not because we're the same, because we're both great in different ways." The room holds its breath. This is the moment. Arnold can reject the handshake, can make a joke, can keep the rivalry alive for another decade, or he can do something different, something unexpected. Arnold looks at Stallone's extended hand, looks at his face, sees genuine exhaustion, genuine respect, genuine desire to end this. Arnold takes the hand, shakes it firmly, says quietly, "You're right." Then louder, so everyone can hear, "You're absolutely right. I've been an ass. We both have been. Too proud to admit that this whole rivalry is stupid, that we're better than this." Arnold says, "I respect the hell out of what you've done, Sly. Rocky is iconic. Rambo is iconic. You created characters that will outlive both of us, and I've never said that publicly because my ego wouldn't let me." Arnold continues, "We've wasted 20 years. 20 years we could have been friends, could have supported each other, could have lifted each other up instead of tearing each other down." He says, "I don't want to waste another day." The room erupts. Not with applause yet. With shock. With disbelief. People pulling out phones. This is news. This is history. The two biggest rivals in Hollywood just made peace. Publicly. Genuinely. Stallone says, "So what do we do now?" Arnold grins. That genuine grin. Not the publicity smile. The real one. Says, "We have a drink. We talk. We figure out how two old warriors can stop fighting each other and start fighting for each other." They walk to the bar together. The crowd parts. Whispers everywhere. Stallone orders scotch. Arnold orders vodka. They toast. Arnold says, "To ending stupid rivalries." Stallone says, "To starting real friendships." They talk for 2 hours. Really talk, not small talk. Deep conversation about their struggles, their insecurities, their fears about aging in an industry that worships youth, about the pressure to stay relevant, to keep proving themselves, about injuries from stunts, about the toll on their families, about regrets, about mistakes, about everything they never said in 20 years. Arnold admits he always felt inferior to Stallone as an actor. Says Stallone could actually act, could write, could direct. Arnold felt like just a bodybuilder who got lucky. Stallone admits he was jealous of Arnold's charisma, his ease with people, his natural charm that Stallone never felt he had. They laugh at the absurdity, spent 20 years envying what the other had while the world saw them as equals. By the end of the night, they exchange numbers, real numbers, not assistant numbers. Make plans to have dinner the following week. Leave the party together. Photographers go crazy. Headlines write themselves. Stallone and Schwarzenegger end 20-year feud. Action icons make peace. Hollywood's greatest rivalry is over. But the real story isn't the headlines. It's what happens next. Stallone and Arnold become genuine friends. Not publicity friends, real friends. They work out together, have dinner regularly, support each other's projects. When Stallone's mother dies in 2020, Arnold is at the funeral. When Arnold has heart surgery, Stallone visits him in the hospital. They co-star in the Expendables franchise together, not as rivals, as partners, as brothers. In interviews years later, they talk about that night. Stallone says, "Best decision I ever made. Walking up to Arnold. Extending that hand. Ending the stupidity. We wasted 20 years because we were too proud to admit we respected each other, too insecure to celebrate each other's success. That night freed us both." Arnold says, "Sly did something I couldn't do. He had the courage to be vulnerable first, to admit the rivalry was destroying us. I wanted to end it too, but couldn't figure out how without looking weak. Sly showed me that admitting you're wrong isn't weakness. It's strength, real strength." The rivalry made them famous. The friendship made them better, made them happier, made them whole. They realized that competition can motivate, but cooperation can elevate, that having a rival pushes you, but having an ally lifts you higher, that ego can fuel success, but humility creates legacy. Today, they're both in their 70s, still working, still relevant, still inspiring. But now they do it together. They promote each other's projects, celebrate each other's achievements, give joint interviews, where they joke about the old rivalry with affection instead of bitterness. They've written a new narrative, not about who's better, about how being better together matters more. The story spreads through Hollywood. Other rivals watch and learn. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman turn their fake rivalry into genuine friendship. Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel eventually make peace after their Fast and Furious feud. The culture shifts, slowly, from competition to collaboration, from tearing each other down to building each other up. But it started with 3 minutes. 3 minutes where Stallone chose honesty over pride. 3 minutes where Arnold chose growth over ego. 3 minutes that ended 20 years of unnecessary conflict and created a friendship that's lasted 25 years and counting. What rivalry are you holding on to? What competition is draining your energy? What relationship could be transformed if you just had the courage to extend your hand first? To admit the fight isn't worth it? To choose peace over pride? Stallone and Arnold had every reason to hate each other, had 20 years of justification, had public expectations to maintain, had egos that demanded victory. But they chose differently, chose better, and that choice didn't make them weaker, made them stronger. Made them legends not just for what they accomplished individually, but for how they lifted each other up after years of pushing each other down. The rivalry made headlines, the friendship made history, and it all started with 3 minutes of courage, 3 minutes of honesty, 3 minutes of one man saying, "I'm tired of fighting," and another man saying, "Me too, that's all it takes." 3 minutes to change everything. Stallone and Arnold proved it. Now it's your turn.